Hey guys, it's Ashley, and in today's video I'm going to be playing a new game that I call Book Bachelor. I looked all over BookTube and I hadn't seen anything that was similar to this that I kind of created, so I'm just gonna say that this is the first video involving this game, and I hope that you guys end up playing too. It's pretty similar to the Rip It or Ship It tag or the Love Triangle game that's recently become popular, but it has to do more with like Bachelor things. If you guys watch The Bachelor, I do sometimes. I'm really excited to play this game, and I hope that some of you guys end up playing it too, but before we get into what it is exactly, first I want to talk about this book right here that inspired this game called Little White Lies by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This video is a paid promotion with Disney Book Group. They sent me a copy of Little White Lies as it's a brand new release. It is in stores now. It came out November 6th, I believe. The premise sounded really interesting to me and I'm really excited to read it, so let me share what it is about with you all. So we follow Sawyer Taft, an 18-year-old auto mechanic whose estranged grandmother one day shows up on her doorstep offering her a six-figure deal to compete in the upcoming debutante season. This girl never imagined that she would ever accept this offer, but she realizes that this is the one chance that she might get to trying to figure out who her father is because she's never known him, and so she goes ahead and accepts. So she's drawn into this group of debutantes, and she quickly realizes that her family is not the only one who has skeletons in their closet. People are apparently not as they appear, and nobody wants Sawyer poking her nose around trying to figure out who her father really is. She navigates the relationships between her and her friends and their parents, and she realizes that her search for her own origin of truth, or her truthful origin, or whatever you want to call it, is not the only thing that is at stake here. And I just want to share this little line directly from the synopsis because I really like this sentence. Set in the world of debutante balls, grand estates, and rolling green hills, Little White Lies combines a charming setting, a classic fish-out-of-water story, and the sort of layered mystery only author Jennifer Lynn Barnes can pull off. I've never read anything by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, but this story didn't sound like the classic sort of mystery that I'm usually not into, which is why I decided I was gonna give it a chance. The world of debutante balls just sounds really intriguing to me, and this story honestly reminded me so much of the Princess Diaries movies that I grew up loving because, you know, her grandmother just shows up at her doorstep offering her this world into this high society, just like whatever her name was of Genovia. Her grandmother was the queen, or whatever happened. I don't even remember. It's been a while since I've watched those movies. Plus, I really like it when you follow a group of a bunch of very overly privileged people and you find out that they've got all of these twists and turns and secrets that they don't want anybody knowing. I love finding out the reveal for that, and I think it makes it such a more like interesting, addictive story. And I'm sure Sawyer, who has not grown up in this high society like all of these other girls have, has a very different definition and honest approach to relationships in different situations than they do, which I'm really excited to read because it's just somebody who's out of her element, and I really want to see how she like gets in there and figures out what she wants to know. Like I said, Little White Lies is in store now, so if you are interested in getting your hands on it, there will be a link in the description below where you can purchase it. But for now, let's get into my Book Bachelor game, which was inspired by this book. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. So basically, I'm thinking debutante, you know, these girls are being judged and are going to be picked, and there's gonna be winners and things are gonna happen in there. So I thought of this game that's similar to The Bachelor, where it's kind of like people are getting picked to move on in different rounds and things like that. So in this cup right here, I have written down a bunch of my recent reads. I believe I have 14 of them, and what I'm going to do is pull them out two at a time and pick which one I would give my rose to, pick which one would move on into the next round. We're gonna be judging them on like whether I fell in love with them, whether I really didn't like them, whether it was like a first date and like we're just gonna leave it at that kind of thing. It was like a one night stand, I don't know. We're just gonna have fun with this and see what happens. All right, on to the game. So the first two books that I pulled out are Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas and Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I feel like these books are very loved on BookTube, and I personally really enjoyed them both, but for this, I feel like I'm gonna have to give my personal rose to Empire of Storms. You guys know that I am a huge fantasy junkie and I prefer fantasy over any other genre. Plus, Since You've Been Gone just seems kind of like a summer fling to me, if that makes sense. Contemporaries I usually read in the summer, or I prefer to, so I think I'm gonna give my rose to Empire of Storms in this round. You've won this time, Sarah J. Maas. Next. Ooh, these are so different too. Okay, so we have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo versus The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. The Poet X is actually a book that not many of you probably know that I actually read recently. I did upload a video about the Latinx authors that I wanted to read from in the future, or that were on my TBR, and The Poet X was one of them. I actually listened to this book on audiobook because Elizabeth Acevedo narrates it herself as a slam poet, and so not only the lyricism like within her poems and the style that she read them in and just the story itself, but like I don't even know how to explain how good this book was. Six of Crows, on the other hand, is a super popular, well-loved book on BookTube. They were both so good. Oh my god. I'm gonna do something that not all of you guys will agree with, but I think I'm gonna give my rose to The Poet X on this one. It was just so different from anything that I've really read recently that I'm intrigued by it, and I'd like to get to know it more, and Elizabeth Acevedo more. So I think I'm gonna pick this one. That's not to say that I don't love Six of Crows. I absolutely loved it, but for now I'm gonna wait until I finish Crooked Kingdom before I truly decide if I'm going to give it a rose. I believe we have 5 more rounds. I put like 14 in the cup, I think. So first up we have Nevermore by Jessica Townsend, which I actually spelled wrong on this paper, so sorry. And then we have To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Oh my god, this is so difficult. I am leaning more toward giving a rose to Nevermore, personally. I loved them both so much. I would totally reread them and go out with them again. But I don't know, Nevermore is like just calling to me. Nevermore was just so interesting. It was such a weird and different world to be in. The world itself was so unique and different from anything that I'd read. And so I think that's what's drawing me to this more so than To All the Boys. But I seriously love To All the Boys, you guys know that. No shade to Jenny Han and her series, but I'm just picking Nevermore in this case. So Nevermore, will you accept my rose? Okay, 2. So we have The Storm Runner by J.C. Cervantes or A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. This one is not that difficult for me. I'm picking The Storm Runner to give my rose to. A Court of Frost and Starlight, honestly, it was like a one-night stand for me. I wasn't too crazy about it. It wasn't my favorite in the series, obviously. I don't think that it really needed to exist, if I'm being totally completely honest, and I'm sorry if you guys loved this book. I did like it, I enjoyed reading it, but I didn't think it was necessary at all. So for that reason, I think it's gonna be a one-night stand for me. You know, I liked it when I read it, but I don't really want to see it again. Meanwhile, The Storm Runner, such a cute story, reminded me so much of Percy Jackson and the Rick Riordan series, so The Storm Runner is gonna get my rose this round. Next up, 2. We have What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, and we have Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. So kind of 2 books basically by the same author, almost. This is hard, but it's honestly not that difficult for me. I'm gonna go ahead and give my rose to What If It's Us. I really love this story. It was so adorable. I would reread it in a heartbeat if I had the time. Leah on the Offbeat, on the other hand, it's like, okay, this is like one of those times where you go on a date and you go home and you think about the date and you're like, maybe that wasn't as good as I initially thought. I don't date, okay? Very rarely have I been in the realm of relationships and dating, guys. So I'm just making this up as I go, to be honest with you. When I first read Leah on the Offbeat, I loved this book so much. It was so good. Afterward, I started thinking about it and I'm like, a lot of what happened in this book, it like didn't make any sense compared to what happened in Simon. Like, none of the stuff that happened in this book did I ever see in Simon. Like, and I get that some time has passed and things can change, but like a lot of the references that Leah was making a mention to that happened in Simon, right? Like things that happened in the past in that book that she's like reflecting on in this book, I don't remember reading it in Simon. I'm not sure if the story was being a little bit changed and like spun in a different direction so that these 2 characters that end up together in this book can end up together, or if that stuff really happened and I'm just not remembering any of it from the past events in Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. But like I said, it's just one of those books that I read, I really loved, and then after thinking about it, I realized I wasn't as crazy as I thought. Way too long of an explanation for this book, but long story short, I'm giving my rose to What If It's Us. Next up, we have why did I just decide to sing the Harry Potter song? I don't know. Okay, next up we have City of Ghosts by V.E. Schwab, and we have The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This is difficult. This is really, really difficult because I really loved The Unexpected Everything, such a cute story, but I also really love City of Ghosts. They're two totally different stories and I love them both like so equally. I think this might be one of those times where like I just decide that like I like them both too much to pick either of them and that I'm just not gonna give my rose to either and I'm just gonna live alone for the rest of my life. As if that's not already happening. Oh, I'm such a mess. I think that's what's gonna have to happen. I don't think that I can truly give my rose to either of these two stories. They were both so good and so different and it's hard to just pick one. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna end up alone for the rest of my life if I have to pick between these two because I really like both of these. And the last two that I have to choose from are The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell and Wild Card by Marie Lu. Well, as you guys all know, I love The Last Magician. So good, such a good series. I'm so excited for the next book. Wild Card, on the other hand, I actually read quite a while ago and the story was really good. I liked it a lot more than I did the first book, Warcross. But I think in this case, I'm gonna have to give it to The Last Magician just because nothing in my heart is like holding me on to Wild Card. I don't know, like maybe in the future after like I've grown a little bit, I'll come back to the series and reread it and I'll find something else that I like about it, but it doesn't like have any sort of attachment in my heart like The Last Magician does. Like The Last Magician I could like go on a date with like over and over and over and over and over again and not really get sick of it. I'm giving my rose to The Last Magician in this case because I don't know, like while it's not a one-night stand with Wild Card, it's just not true love. So that was the book Bachelor game, guys. Like I said, it's super similar to the Rip It or Ship It book tag or the Love Triangle game. I just picked stories that I've recently read and decided who I would give my rose to. If you guys want to try this game out for yourself, I would love to see your renditions, so you can let me know down below if you have done it or want to do it, or you can tag me anywhere. I would love to watch your videos. And if somebody has made a similar video to this in the past, just let me know. I'm totally not meaning to take this idea from anybody. I just couldn't find anybody who had made the video in the past, so I just decided to do it myself. But if somebody had made a video like this, I'd love to see it. So once again, thank you so much to Disney Book Group for partnering with me on this video and for sending me a copy of Little White Lies by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Remember, you can pick up this book now. It is in stores. I will have a link down in the description below for you to order it if you are interested. But other than that, that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you later. Goodbye!